Hello everybody and welcome to NBL Overtime, a huge weekend as we get stuck into 2019 and really only 6 weeks before the NBL playoffs. Sydney were on top and then lost, and then Perth had a chance and they lost, and then Melbourne had a chance and then they lost, and Sydney finally won, who beat the Cairns Taipans, who after 14 straight losses won a game against Brisbane, which means we've put them onto the backdrop. Far North Queensland and the Cairns community have been tearing us apart on social media, and Nate Jaiwai is up there. So to the Cairns Taipans, congratulations. We've taken off at the request of this man, Corey Homicide Williams. The Perth Wildcats and Bryce Cotton is down. What up, big fella?
Hey, how you doing? Happy New Year. Glad to be back with you guys.
Happy New Year, man. We've done a show in 2019.
You know, it's my first show back, but I'm here, baby. Let's get into it.
And Liam Santamaria, welcome to you.
Thank you. What a round. What an incredible round where the favoured teams just couldn't get a win. Upsets galore. And
it really lays claim to how close this NBL season is and what a wonderful run it's going to be into the NBL playoffs in around 6 weeks' time. And there's been a lot going on, including some motivational tactics that have come out of this very show. Hashtag NBL19 or hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. We'll get to that plenty more. But the big news was this man now on our backdrop, Nate Jaiwai, the Cairns Taipans winning the game.
Yeah, just so good to see them getting a win. Corey and I were courtside to see Shawn Long absolutely demolish the Adelaide 36ers. But yeah, so good to see the Taipans finally get that second win.
This New Zealand team, we're going to get through a little bit further. I know, Corey Homicide Williams, you've gone nuts about it, but Shawn Long, before giving too much up, they're an exciting team to play. It's a fun brand to watch.
Definitely an exciting team to play. I love the fact that they're hiding him in the zone. So, you know, he's been foul prone all season. So I think that the fact that they have him in the zone, he's been able to stay out of foul trouble, which has been able to allow him to be aggressive on both ends of the court.
Talking of staying out of foul trouble, Chris Goulding couldn't do it, and Brisbane bounced back in the most perfect way on the Gold Coast, and some big shots late. And Lamar Patterson might not have hit the big shots, but he was the man who dictated that last quarter. And then this game was brilliant. There he is. He's got some range. And this NBL Overtime panel, I'm not sure how much credit they're going to take, but Shawn Long's weekend was huge. And then last night, Cairns gave themselves an opportunity.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Now, what did you think of that move?
I called that too much sauce. He had Lucas in the blender.
Yep.
Stood him up, freeze frame, we need to see that play again.
Yeah.
We really need to see that play again.
He was awesome in that second half. And that duo of Randall and Bogut is something to watch.
And the Kings were staring down 2 road losses. Kevin Lish hit a big 3 last night. Kevin Randall hit a shot, a fadeaway, going to his left, and they were able to escape Far North Queensland, what was a very entertaining clash. But we will start with the New Zealand Breakers because they have been an enigma all year. We know how talented they are, led by Corey Webster and his inability with some injuries to be able to get it going. But this weekend, they went to Adelaide, they were outstanding, they went home, they beat the Perth Wildcats. We talked and continuing to talk about Brisbane and Adelaide fighting off the 4th spot, but as it sits here now, this New Zealand team's a huge chance to sneak their way and then cause some damage come playoffs time.
Yeah, they're a big chance. I mean, what are they now? 8. They've worked their way back to 8 and 9. 4th currently is 10 and 9. So they're right around the corner there. We all fell off when they had that 5-game losing streak. We mentioned the fact that it was against Sydney, Melbourne and Perth, all of those games. Since that streak, they have won 4 of their last 5. And this particular weekend, Rashad, Ty Wesley and Shawn Long was super impressive. And Kevin Braswell has this team humming.
Rashad was outstanding. I know you're both there in Adelaide on Friday night. Rashad, after going 0 for last week from the 3-point line, I think it was 6 and 6 against Adelaide and Homicide. That's what you need to get from your import when you're paying them big cash.
Yeah, definitely. You know, a lot of times you can tell a true person, their true character comes out when their back is against the wall. The real them comes out. I think, again, that zone defense is pivotal. If I'm Kevin Braswell, I'm playing zone for the rest of the year. The biggest difference between that team that we saw this weekend and Shawn Long's play was his ability to stay on the court. He dominated on both sides of the court on both games with 2 top 4 teams with 2 legitimate dominant centers. He bust their ass straight up. Who is giving us numbers like that? This year, back-to-back, that was in 36 hours.
Yeah, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And we've spoken all season about how he's the key to their team, right? Because he's so talented. And the important thing is to keep him on the floor. It's been a frustration for Kevin Braswell all year. from the first half of the season, a lot of the focus was on the refs. It was external, saying, call Shawn Long differently. And now I think they've made an adjustment and they've said he needs to he needs to play. Was that me? Or was that...
Yeah, put your phone on silent. It's only you with that ringtone.
You need to play differently, but also we're going to do some things to help you. We're going to sit in the zone and that'll help. And as a result, he had 2 games where he didn't foul out, and if he gets to the end of the first quarter, he's only got 1 foul, or half-time, 1 foul.
Confidence.
He can be so aggressive. But here's the issue with that zone. And it worked okay against Adelaide and against Perth. But they are 2 of the 3 worst three-point shooting teams in the league. Next week they play Sydney. You can't start that game in a zone and have Randall and Lish and Newley and David Ware kick it when he comes off the bench, lighting you up from the three-point line. Which is why, and people think it sounds crazy, I still think they should start Majuk for the first 3.5 minutes of the game.
No, you're right. That does sound crazy.
He's got fouls to give. Put him up against Andrew Bogut. You can't zone Brisbane at the start of the game. You can't zone Melbourne United. Those teams will light you up. And I think that it's something that...
But then what do you lose the other end? You talk about, starting with Majuk, who hasn't got much playing time at all in their first year at the Breakers. So you're essentially saying you can't zone against these teams, but what are you going to lose the other end? There's Shawn Long we're talking about, who's been so dominant, the numbers that I'm sure Homicide's, he's got it written down. He's going to tell us exactly what they were. You do lose that because you touch on it. Getting in foul trouble is not foreign to American and imports coming here and big men, but what is the situation? You touch on it. The confidence and the momentum that stems from not being in foul trouble early allows him to be aggressive. If he's not there early, by the time he gets the confidence to be aggressive, it might be 7 or 8 minutes into that first quarter, and it does hurt their flow on momentum from what made them play so well on the weekend.
Time. And Corey and I were talking about it when in round 11 when New Zealand played Adelaide and they were leading by about 12-7 or something. Shawn Long picked up his 2nd foul. I said on the call, it's a nightmare start for the Breakers. And I looked at the scoreboard and thought, they're winning. That's a bit of a strange thing to say. But the fact is, if he picks up those early fouls, they're done.
They're done.
They're done. So that's the key to their team.
And then if you talk about, you're right, I don't agree with starting with Majuk, because if you start slowly, that's 3 or 4 minutes with Majuk in the team, you might be 15-4 down. You've got a hole you've got to try and dig your way out of. And they're a confident-driven team. When Corey Webster's confident, God knows what could happen. Ty Wesley's fairly consistent. These guys, even Abercrombie, when they're confident, they're rolling, they're hard to stop. But you don't want to start it in a hole.
Corey, about a month and a half ago, we picked our top 4. You picked New Zealand at the time. You fell right off. You said, get them out of here. Are you back?
Look, honestly...
Is that your 4th team?
Look, right now, here's where I'm at. First of all, I'm gonna backtrack to where you were just saying start him or not. I'm gonna say start him, and if nothing else, double off the weak man whenever his man gets the ball to protect him to get out of the first quarter with no fouls. Whatever it takes to get him out the first quarter without any fouls, that's what you got to do. If you got to give up a couple of threes from the odd man that's shooting it, you live with that. That's what I'm gonna do. For example, you playing against Perth. Double off Damian Martin. If he hits that, you live with it. As long as he gets out the first quarter without a foul, I'm good to go from there. I'll take my chances with that. Now, in the race to the top 4, I was on them. They fell off completely. I was completely off them. Then we saw Brisbane went and got back-to-back wins versus the champs. I was on them. They signed Kendall. I was on them. Then they lose to Cairns by 30. Completely fell off of them. And by the way, if I was the owner of that team, I would find the whole team. No way a team, I would find the whole team. No way a team loses.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Ain't no way you lose by 30 points by a team that lost 14 in a row.
No
way.
No way. You have one bad night. And Cairns were hitting big shots.
No way.
Devon Hall was hitting shots with hands in his face.
30 points?
Look.
It was a huge
30 points.
Yeah, but look, the
I would find the whole team.
That happens. I find them.
I would find the whole team.
How much would you find them?
Lamar's got the bounce back without finding them.
Yeah.
And they got a win over the defending champs.
Find them
30 points?
Find them 100 each for loss. And
never
then give them
100
a bonus
each.
100 each for beating
Never
the Huskies
100 each.
Yeah,
I would
so-
fine them for probably about 500 apiece.
Can I also
hold
point out,
on.
answer the question.
Yeah, but so when you fell off
was the
Brisbane,
question?
you were...
Then I said Adelaide was
jumped
going to
on
do
Adelaide.
it. And then Adelaide tricked it off.
So where
I don't
are
know
we?
who. I
Where
don't
are you
know.
now? You
I
don't
don't
know.
know, man.
Okay,
They
cool.
stressed me out last round.
It is
I don't know.
stressful.
That fourth spot is wide open, man.
All right, keep that excitement happening. Hashtag NBL19 at NBL on Twitter. Who is the best big man in the game, Shawn Long or Andrew Bogut? This man's been going nuts about it on social media, so you can have the floor first. Who is the best big man in the NBL right now?
Look, here's what I'm going to say. At the end of the
say
day, Andrew Bogut, it is his MVP to lose. The Bogut effect is the reason a guy like Shawn Long is here. Okay, all of these big men are in the league because of what he's done this season for the Sydney Kings. All right, look at his numbers. Double he's averaging, almost 4 blocks a game. Almost like don't even go to the basket if Bogut is in the paint. The Bogut effect, without a doubt, is his MVP to lose. However, what I'm saying is the weekend that I just saw Shawn Long put on, that was incredible, that performance. I didn't even know he had that type of talent. I never watched New Zealand all season. After they went on that 5-game losing streak, I'm like, get him out of here. I'm not watching no team not in the top 4. That's me.
How did you...
That is me. I am not watching a team if they're not in the top 4.
How did you have
That's
them
it.
playing?
You know why?
You had them playing
because
in the
I know
finals. You
the
don't watch
talent
them.
that they had should be good enough to get it done. If Corey Webster woke up, Corey Webster been hurt. He just came back. We spoke in the Qantas Lounge, said he was injured, he's feeling good, and he showed up. He had 17 points against Adelaide on the road.
Did you tell Corey Webster you're refusing to watch them until they...
100%. I told Corey Webster. I DM him all the time. I'm like, yo, step your game up.
He had a goose
Yo, I
egg.
talked to these
I'm
players.
not saying you didn't have... I'm not saying you didn't... I'm not saying you
I
didn't
talked
say
to
it.
these players.
So
Let me tell you something.
Are you watching them now, even though they're not in the 4?
Oh, I'm watching them now.
Boom.
Grown man Tom Wesley is back. Grown man Tom.
Now, hold on,
he
though.
bust Nick K's ass.
He was incredible.
He was
and
good.
is a
2
great
games
man.
in a row. That's the best 4 and 5 in the league.
Okay, so who's the best big man? Long or Bogut?
If Long is not in foul trouble, based off what I saw him do this weekend, if he finishes out
but foul
the
trouble,
season,
foul trouble's part of the game.
if he finishes out the season and he's able to not be in foul trouble, like play in the game, I'm going with Shawn Long. You saw the talent?
So you got Shawn Long, okay?
If
I got Bogut.
he is not
who you
in
got?
foul trouble.
There's so many disclaimers on that pick.
I mean,
Because foul trouble, if you can't say the foul trouble,
it's an important part of the game.
basically what I saw him do. Did you see how he killed these big men?
We watched.
Did you see how he destroyed them?
We seen it. We watched teams
He's
outside the top 4.
Ridiculously talented. And the
was
moment
crazy.
I first saw him,
Oh my
I first saw
God.
him at the Blitz, let's not forget, they had Jarrell Benjamin in that spot. That bloke didn't make the flight. And Jonathan Gavoni in the States had to hustle. He came up with Shawn Long. First moment I saw him, I texted Gavoni and said, mate, well done, well played. Because he
Oh my God.
has the potential to tear up the league.
First of
Foul
all-
trouble has stopped him from doing it to this point. Here's hoping he can keep this rolling the rest of the season. I wrote today, Shawn Long is very, very, very good. Andrew Bogut is the best big man in the league.
Okay.
Now, I'll ask you this question. If the Sydney...
Sorry.
If you take Andrew Bogut out of the Sydney Kings and you replace him with Shawn Long, are they better or worse?
I don't know. Well, you know what? To be honest with
Worse.
you, I'm not going to say that.
They're
You know
worse.
why they're worse? And this is why you
Actually,
lean
yeah,
on,
you know what? He
lean on
the fouls.
You lean on the fouls, as in if he stays out of foul trouble,
worse.
that is a huge part of the game.
They're worse.
You're right.
You take Shawn Long out of New Zealand and you replace him with Andrew Bogut, are they better or worse?
They're in the 4 and Corey's watching them play.
They're a title contender.
I mean,
100%.
listen, with Bogut
So
on any team, with any of these teams, they're contenders.
So that makes him the best big man in the game.
The Bogut effect. I never said he wasn't. I never said he wasn't. But I started off.
All right.
I said this is MVP.
And
I said this is MVP.
See, 32% are picking Shawn Long with no disclaimer.
None.
Which is incredible.
All right, so make sure you keep getting involved.
Although he's a gun.
It leads
Make no
us...
mistake.
He's a gun.
He's a stud.
Can we
He's a
just...
stud.
For people in New Zealand, we'll get to that shortly. For people in New Zealand...
Yeah.
We're not saying Shawn Long's having a great season and is going to be a huge influence. We're simply saying Andrew Bogut, in Liam and I eyes in particular, is number 1. It leads us into our next point about Josh Boone. Last year, all-NBL first-team centre and a huge part of that team that won a championship. Now, when a team struggles, or when I say struggle, I mean probably don't live up to the expectations to what we have with lofty standards. Happens in sport, happens in basketball. We look for a scapegoat. Josh Boone seems to be the one in the media that is suggesting that he's not quite at the level he was last year.
Well, the reason I think this is interesting because something John Casey, the voice of basketball in Australia, brought up in our broadcast in Adelaide the other night. We were asked who is the player to watch heading into the finals. His pick was Josh Boone, and he said if he cannot reclaim his form from last season, Melbourne cannot and will not win the championship and defend their title. And I thought, boy, that's a really interesting point that he makes.
Now, his points are down, 2 points a game less. He's rebounding, which was such a huge point of last year. Had 11 boards on the weekend against Brisbane. His steals are pretty much similar. Defensively, based on the numbers in the same amount of minutes, he's having a bit of a better year from a defensive end. His boards are probably the one for mine that is a concern because when you've got Casper Ware, when you've got Chris Goulding, you've got Mitch McCarron, even with DJ Kennedy, and even with David Barlow, who gets probably a little more offensive sets run for him more than what Ty Wesley did, he's probably getting less touches this year in the offense compared to last year. So rebounding would probably be my only concern as it being a little bit down. But he seems to be, the numbers aren't that bad. He seems to be the scapegoat for a team that is struggling to find offensive fluency.
Well, put it to you like this. I saw the last game. When they lost, he missed a lot of bunnies. He hits those shots, it could have been a different ball game. You know, Josh Boone got to step his game up. He hasn't been consistent all season. Though defensively, he figured out how to beat Andrew Bogut's kryptonite, but it's not consistent. He has to step up. It can't just be against when you see Sydney Kings. Look, it's easy to get up for Bogut, okay? Bogut's just come from playing 13 years in the league. That's just a fact. That's somebody like, yo, you know what? Big game today, I'm playing against Bogut. That's easy to get up for. You got to get up every night. This team relies on you too much
the irony
for you
is,
to be that inconsistent.
You know his best games of the year? 2 against Sydney and 1 against New Zealand. And that big win in New Zealand when he matched up on Shawn Long.
Well, those matchups are good for him. His points are down and his rebounds are down. Most concerning are his offensive rebounds are way down. He was a force on the offensive board last season. Sometimes a guy's form can be about him. Sometimes it's about system, makeup, chemistry with your team. You know what Josh Boone's missing? He's missing Ty Wesley. You asked me on yes or no about 3 or 4 weeks ago, are Melbourne United missing Ty Wesley?
That award-winning segment is back actually shortly as well.
And I said yes. Now, we've talked at length about what Dave Barlow brings to Melbourne United and how well he's replaced Wesley, and he's been fantastic, but he's different.
He is.
And what Ty Wesley brought in the block helped make Josh Boone. I've brought in some, clipped up some highlights, roll the vision. This is Ty Wesley last season in the block, setting up Josh Boone. Possession after possession. He gets it in the block, draws the double team, Boone's man helps, and he dimes him up time after time after time. These are the little easy buckets that Boone's missing this season. You have to double Wesley in the block, and that's what Boone gets time and time again. And what's not in these clips is the shots that Wesley puts up from the block that are predictable shots and are offensive rebound type shots. And Boone, obviously, his man helps, and he can get on the rim and finish the play. I spoke to Boone in the preseason. I said about the new makeup of the team and everything. He said, mate, I'm going to really miss Ty Wesley. We had great chemistry. We were boys on and off the floor. And what's interesting is that, yeah, Boone was in constant communication with Casper Ware during the off-season, loves playing with Casper, that pick-and-roll action. He was also in good communication with Ty Wesley, very nearly signed with New Zealand when Melbourne was stalling and Wesley had already locked it in with the Breakers, and the Breakers were looking for an import 5. So Dave Barlow doesn't give that presence in the block. He doesn't draw a double team. He can't really take on most fours in the league single coverage in the block, and as a result, Josh Boone's missing all of those little
Is he the scapegoat right now for Melbourne United and the questions around them, and unfairly so, do you think?
I mean, he's not a scapegoat, but, I mean, you got to hit those bunnies. You know, it's not like they're not in finals contention. They're still in the finals. They're still going to be a good chance that they finish at the top. You know, look, nobody wants 4th place and nobody wants 1st place right now, because every time everybody gets it, they lose.
What's interesting is that Melbourne have, over the last couple of weeks, they've been starting to do some stuff where they run some screening action to get Barlow a mismatch. Get a switch, Goulding's man goes on Barlow, or Casper Ware's man goes on Barlow, put him in the block, try to recreate some
bit
of
of
that
that.
action that brought Boone into play last season.
All right, something that's going to fire up, and I assume he's going to ask again for another finding system again, but the Cairns Taipans. And we've spoken a lot about Cairns and their inability to be, I guess, winners in the fourth quarter. They were in games, as you pointed out a couple of weeks ago, Liam, where we were in a situation they just weren't getting it done. They didn't have to worry about being behind or close in the fourth quarter because they blew the Bullets out in the first three. Devon Hall was outstanding, couldn't miss. But Nate Jaiwai, straight away, that's the first play of the game. He came out, the excited energy to which he had showed such a huge amount of where they sit in the Cairns Taipans were brilliant. The highest, well, most points they've ever scored in a 40-minute game in Cairns Taipans.
Fourth biggest win in franchise history.
Massive. They did it in the right way. Mello Tremble, there you go. He's done a lot of that over the course of the year and standing and deliver. And in the end, that 14-game losing streak, done.
One thing that this win shouted to me was the talent has not been the issue. We sat here last week and we discussed this fact about it. Are they talent? Do they have enough talent to win games in this league? Are you kidding me? Just beat Brisbane by 30 points. Finally, they're starting to piece it together. The ball is moving a little bit more. It's not as reliant on Mello Trimble pick and rolls. They're getting Jaiwai involved in the block. He looks fantastic. He's getting better and better every game. And they are much better defensively. I think Mike Kelly, he's a little bit more of a harder man as a coach now than he was throughout the... You can see it in timeouts. You can see it in his rotations.
Never seen him more animated last night than I did in a timeout, and that was early in the game where they had Sydney in a bit of a tussle in the second quarter, but it's about as animated as you've seen him. What have you got?
I really don't have much. I just
Appreciate the honesty.
I just think that whenever they play, this is one of the most dominant bigs in this league. He's playing really good basketball. When you give him the ball, he's delivering consistently. Play through him. Play team basketball, let everybody get touches, go through him, play in and out. He's a willing passer. They got to double him. Find some cutters. Weak side, come up and replace. You might get an open look over there. If not, the guy that's diving, get a bucket.
He's a very good passer.
They're going to win some more games.
They got Melbourne this week. Melbourne go up there Sunday night, and that's, in a situation where you don't want to lose touch with 1 and 2, and Melbourne need the win, and it's disappointing as they were on Sunday. They now have to go to a place where they've struggled in the past to win, although they won earlier in the year behind Casper West 34. They've got to go up there with a team that, while they lost last night against Sydney, will have a bit more confidence than they did only, a month ago. For
a whole bunch of time there, playing Cairns on your schedule was a way to get some confidence back, right? We know Perth and their few wins over Cairns, that's all they've been getting wins over recent times. But from now on, it's no longer a confidence-building game, it's a danger game, 100% the rest of the way.
Put your hand up if you said on this very program that Cairns weren't going to win another game for the year. There it is. All right, keep that hand up as well, because since the fever break, Perth have won how many games, do you know?
I'm not even going to count those games. They're winless. We're not counting a team that lost 14 straight. We can't count that.
No, come on, you got to.
They're winless.
I'm not counting the two Cairns wins.
No, I'm not allowing you to do that.
All right, how about this? Perth, that team, they flat out suck.
Just answer the question.
They stink.
They
won 2 games out of 8.
Yep.
And guess who they beat? Cairns twice. Let's be real here.
Their last non-Cairns win was November 25 against New Zealand.
There you go.
Now far away.
That team's not good. I don't even... it's not even fun. I'm not on social media no more talking bad about them. It's not even fun anymore. I'm not making no more ship-sinking jokes. I'm not making more me fishing for a third import. It's pathetic what's happening up there.
What they need to do
for a club, they need to get a third import.
This is a proud club who haven't missed the playoffs in...
And they're not going to miss the playoffs because guess why? They had easy wins early. The schedule allowed them to have a bunch of easy wins. Who have they played and they beat? Look at the teams they lost to. At Sydney, versus Melbourne, versus Brisbane, versus Illawarra, versus New Zealand. Who can they beat? Before, we had 3 players injured and they just winning teams. They're beating. Rightfully so, they were beating teams, okay? They fully loaded. What's the excuse now? To win a championship, how you got to do this thing? Win on the road versus quality teams. Who have they beat? Not a soul.
Yeah.
This team sucks. The best thing they need to do is go get a third import. I know Gleason enough to know he ready to pull the trigger. It ain't his call. It's management stopping that. It is not his call because he would have been got a third import. I know him enough to know that shit.
We all agreed that they wouldn't pull the trigger and get a third import. That was a couple of weeks ago.
It's great. So they're going to look like this.
Anything changed, Liam, in your
Well,
mind?
I wrote today that they need another scorer.
They do.
And they needed it yesterday because it's quite clear now. And you talk about that stretch on the road, the Hotman Cup, 5 games in a row on the road. They talk every year about how that stretch is so key to their season. They go away, spend a bunch of time together. They win 2 or 3 of those 5 games most years, and it sets them up as they go towards the finals. Well, they lost almost all of them, and they're in a really tough spot. What's interesting is 3 years ago, they rung the changes with their imports. Jaron Johnson, Andre Ingram. It became Bryce Cotton. They did not hold back. They got their guy. It took them to the championship. Now, last year, we know they needed to make a change with Derek Cook Jr. Matt Knight went down. They replaced it with Clint Steindl because he was there and he's a good player, fine, but they were missing that guy. They didn't bring him in. They got swept.
They've got the exact same issue they had last year.
Yes, well, they've sat on their hands.
And what you think's going to happen?
They've sat on their hands.
You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. Get the broom out. Who they going to be once they get to the finals?
Well,
who are they going to be?
Based on that, I don't disagree. They might not make the playoffs.
Nah, they'll make the playoffs because they won enough games.
They're 12 and 7.
All they got to do is win like 3 more or something.
They're going to make it.
They're going to go to RAC Arena, going to be some home cooking. They're going to get in.
But the issue is, are they going to have home court advantage?
No, they're not going to have.
Are they going to finish top 2? Because if they don't finish top 2, they play Melbourne or Sydney in the first round. They go on the road for game 1. They're toast.
So just get this clear. The Titanic memes that you've been putting up involving the Perth Wildcats, this is the end of them?
End of it.
Can start following you again. All right, let's talk a little bit about some offensive fouls because flopping and offensive fouls, of course, been a fair bit on the agenda for 2018-19. Let's have a look at a couple of these. Here's the first one. Long offensive foul, yes or no?
I missed it.
Okay.
I was looking at something else.
All right, how about this one? Here we go. Offensive foul?
Charge, 100%.
Charge? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
See, those ones when the guy's facing up, like, oh, we don't like that.
Now, this is the one.
We don't like that.
This happened. Glidden jumps into the way. You can see that Josh Boone's not going to see that he's coming in, and Glidden comes from the weak side. Where do you sit? Because as soon as someone... Here's another one again.
You can't call that, man.
Is that... Now, the first 2...
It is a charge.
First one was iffy. The one on Bogut was definitely. That one, what do you think?
It's a charge. I don't like guys doing it. We don't really want it happening. It's a charge. That's, to me... I don't see that as an unsportsmanlike foul. Myself, it was called unsportsmanlike.
Here's the replay.
I think... That's a play at the ball, I think. But I don't know.
I wanted to show this
it's a bit
because...
confusing. But we talk about offensive fouls, though. Let me just say one thing about offensive fouls.
Yes.
A lot of those were face-up, guys facing the basket.
Yep.
The ones I don't like are in the block, where the post defender knows the contact's coming, gets the timing right, hits the deck. I say let them sit.
I agree.
And let them get dunked on.
Now, they can't do it this year because the season's almost out, and my pet hate is the fact that, really, in the end, you don't want to sit here and see something tweaked as we get into the last 6 weeks of the year. But if you open the next season, where, for the month, the NBL there's no more flopping, as there's no more flopping rules or warnings and all the rest of it, but you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to call charges. So as you just said, and you said, no, when you're in the post, when you're in the post,
say we're not going to call charges.
Yeah, you can, because after 3 weeks of no charges getting called, you'll then be able to eke out when the flop and when they're not, because players will stop doing it.
Man up in the block. That's what we want to see.
And then and then the referees will start to show, you know what? It's very hard. It is very hard to tell the difference between a flop and an actual charge. Extremely hard.
Especially guys get their timing right. What happens? You play in the block, you take the first hit, and then you invite the second hit, and it's going down.
Right. There was a perfect
and a lot of times they get rewarded.
There was a perfect one to Rangi on Casper Ware on Sunday's game. Casper Ware, one of the smartest players in the NBL, and he's not pulling the chair out, he's taking it. He took one. He took 2. Tarangi's bigger. Casper Ware's like, here we go, I'm going down. Yeah. If you just leave it and Tarangi scores after a month of this happening, that won't happen anymore.
No, I say let him sit.
I agree. On the Andrew Bogut one, that is frustrating late in the game. Not an unsportsmanlike, but to the rule of FIBA, it's an unsportsmanlike, and that needs to get tweaked because that is not an unsportsmanlike, in particular, the last 15 seconds of a game.
The one that was even more strange for me was the one on David Ware in transition where the feet got tangled up.
That actually could have been the worst call of the
That was very strange.
Entire weekend. Yeah. All right, NBL City-themed jerseys. Of course, Make-A-Wish round isn't too far away, all thanks to Hungry Jacks. For every City jersey that is sold, jump on the NBL website. $10 will be donated to such a wonderful cause, Make-A-Wish Foundation. We're going to have a look at some of the City jerseys now. Now, have you seen these, Corey?
I've seen them.
What stands out for you? Which one's your favourite?
My favourite jersey, and of course you guys are going to be like, oh my God, but it's the Perth Wildcats jersey.
Oh my God.
Sick. That jersey is sick.
That is a nice jersey.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I say from the outset, I just love the idea as a whole.
True.
Yeah.
Bring it, a round like this, Make-A-Wish, teaming up there is fantastic. And then all of this whole idea. My number one.
Just on that.
Yeah.
This is what now needs to happen. Now, I'm not sure if the Make-A-Wish should definitely happen each and every year.
Yep.
The clubs, it should be now on their emphasis to wear the city jerseys whenever they feel they want to.
Okay.
So next year, it doesn't have to be a Make-A-Wish round, but like if Melbourne want to wear that to open the year, which I doubt they would, but you see it in the NBA, they occasionally wear it randomly, only 2 or 3 times a year, and then they can bring it out wherever you want.
My top
What do you
three,
like?
I got Sydney as number one. Firstly, the city theme, you've got to try to get city in the name, Steel City, River City. Harbour City just works so well. It's actually what we call
There's
the
one
place.
major flaw with the Sydney Kings jersey, though.
What?
I like it there. When it's tucked in, it's not going to look. It's just going to sit at the top.
You'll see the skyline. You'll see the top of the Harbour Bridge. It'll be beautiful.
I'm going to hold judgment until I've seen it.
I've got New Zealand number 2. Love that pink action with the stars above New Zealand. Beautiful. I got Perth number 3.
I got River City. I know it's Golden State Warriors-esque, and
Yep.
Flutter is a.
Could I get one of those
form of
jerseys? I want a Perth
imitation.
one. That Perth jersey's dope. I would wear that.
If I see you walking around a Boris Cotton jersey, I'll go heat.
Now I got
Nice
the
one.
Angus Brand. I'm rocking the Brand. Let me get a Brand jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, let us know at NBL, hashtag NBL Overtime, what your favourite city jerseys. They are all very nice for a great cause, of course. In a couple of weeks, the Make-A-Wish Foundation round, and for every city jersey bought on the NBL website, $10 will be donated to what is a wonderful cause. All right, Liam Santamaria doesn't miss a thing. What have you got for this round?
What do we have? Let's have a look. I can't remember what we're rolling with first.
Okay.
Devon Hall. Look at this pass. Found the open man in the first row. Trimble was like...
I'm going to stick up for Devon Hall. The only one mistake he made on that
he was
night.
awesome. He was awesome.
Oh, here we go.
No fans cheer for Hungry Jacks better than the Adelaide 36ers fans. But he was devastated.
Filthy too, little fella.
John Eisner? Is it John Eisner?
Yeah,
Huge Breakers fan.
Isner? Yep.
Isner.
I'm all over the tennis. Hey, did he forget that he's a Perth Wildcats man?
Oh, here we go.
He was sporting the
Cramming
Breakers
it down.
jersey. Anyone who wants him on their front row, he's happy to have. Look at him. He's got the Wildcats
Just scored
jersey.
on a Houston Rockets starting 5 over there.
Look at Mike Kelly. Look at him smash the whiteboard. That was so good to see. One thing you might have missed in this huddle, though, was the Bruce Bowen sign there at the back. It almost looks like his hair. I like that. From the Cairns mascot. He's sensational. Now, from that time out to another one, let's take it into the Sydney huddle. Watch Copeland let Drewy know he's on air and then fix his suit. You're on air? Am I looking sharp? Yeah, I am. He's like, you're on. And I look good. At least someone picked a winner this week, as all the underdogs.
Beautifully done, Liam Santamaria, across everything that's happened. All right, time to just get serious quickly. Yes or no is only a moment away, but just want to get serious because here at NBL Overtime, we say some interesting things, and it's an opinion-based game, professional sport, and it's not always seen in the right manner, but we have a brand that which we want to uphold on a regular basis, and we don't like to bring ourselves and the show and the NBL by extension into disrepute. Now, of course, Corey Homicide-Williams were missing last week for the first show of the year, and I thought, you know what we'll do? We'll have to have someone follow him around.
Right.
He traditionally puts everything on Instagram anyway, so it won't be irregular for him to have someone with the camera pointing towards him. But for him to damage the brand of NBL Overtime like this just makes...
No, it wasn't good, Corey.
Sick. Roll the vision, and this is the exact reason NBL Overtime nearly stopped
my goodness.
playing. There he is on the golf course.
Found some sun.
He's wearing cargo shorts for a start. Ooh. No. Let's try it again. Here we go. Oh, all right. This is the old Brad Robbins talk. You know, remember that?
Yeah.
You can't guard me, Brad Robbins.
Brad Robbins.
I'll show you how far I can hit you, Brad Robbins.
Homicide stopper.
1, 2. Oh.
Is that Corey Williams or Charles Barkley?
Oh my God.
Who do you think? Look at that. You got the hat over your eyes. You know where it is. Jeez. Ooh.
He's hurting
Now that might have
people.
been on one of these situations you hit a cameraman. You literally hit a cameraman, and then you cracked it, and you got a stubby of beer and went and sat in the golf cart.
Good old Townsville. Those were the days.
That is swing improved at all?
Nah, not at all.
Have you played golf since?
Yeah, I have, but it was bad. Listen, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, you know. Listen, I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at.
If you want to see something extraordinary, at NBL, I'm not sure if it's on our social media just yet, but I can't even give credit to whoever's mashed this up, but there has been a nice little mash-up and an extended version of Corey Homicide Williams playing golf. So check it out at NBL on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram in the next couple of minutes and you'll be able to see it. All right, yes or no? Liam, I'm going to start with you. Will Tom Wilson be playing AFL next year?
No.
Does Jerome Randall have better handles than you ever did?
Yes.
Should the next NBL club be based out of Canberra?
Let's see. We've got a game in Canberra coming up. Let's see what kind of response we get.
That's a good answer because for fans who desperately want any sport in their backyard,
turn up.
just go.
Gotta turn
just
up.
go. Is Adelaide offensively the most exciting team in the league?
No.
Are you taking credit for Shawn Long's performance on the weekend?
No.
Now, for people who might not be aware, Liam Santamaria put him in studs and duds last week as a dud, and he raised it in every single press conference and release he could do ever since. And not only did Shawn Long take it personally, Kevin Braswell then said, he was in it as well. And now you've been written about in the New Zealand media, Liam Santamaria, we're suggesting that you were never impressed with Shawn Long, which isn't exactly right.
Hugely impressed from the get-go.
Yeah.
His potential is just through the roof. Just needs to stay on the floor. Kevin Braswell texted me. He said, "Hey, thanks for calling him out." I said, "Come on, man!" And he said, "No. I was calling him out at practice." And he said, "Coach, I got to play better. I was called a dud."
And for people who would read studs and duds, you would know, and players might not know this, it's a weekly thing. So you're not saying on the season. So
well, he turned up in Adelaide, fouled out, and Daniel Johnson
you're not taking credit
dominated him in that first game. Hell no.
Well, I am, because this time last week I put him in the All-NBL second team and you and Tommy Hirsch tried to shoot me down. Now I'm about to bump him up. Should the league, next year, 9 teams, should the league introduce a wildcard game, 4v5, play each other, first night of the finals, winner gets that 4th spot?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I like
that would be exciting.
That's fun.
Thank you. I'm good. Hey, Ben Madgen, would you sign Ben Madgen?
But this is the second week in a row you're giving me a Ben Madgen question?
Before Nathan Sobey, if you're South East Melbourne Phoenix?
No. But the price always has to be right.
Is James Harden the greatest scorer in basketball history?
Nah.
Should Basketball Australia send an under-23 team to the next FIBA Asian qualifiers? A couple of interesting timing situations and possibly some visa issues with where they're going to play. Should they send a under-23 team to give some of these young kids experience?
Maybe.
It's not yes, no, maybe, mate. It's yes or no.
I need to look into that a little bit more.
Will Majuk Deng be playing for Adelaide next season?
No.
No?
I think he's coming up. I think he's coming to the Phoenix.
To the Phoenix? And why are you so scared to play me in one-on-one?
You don't want this smoke,
No,
man.
that's not the answer.
You don't want that.
You don't want this smoke, man.
You don't want that.
Where am I going to find you boys this weekend?
Adelaide.
I got a rest this weekend.
Got a rest?
Chilling, yeah.
Adelaide?
You should take my spot. I'd rather go to port seat.
I'm kidding.
Love my job.
You love the job?
Who's Adelaide?
Do you love the job or do you love the job?
Who's Adelaide playing?
Not sure. I need to look at the schedule.
On that note, we're out of here. Hashtag NBL19. Hashtag NBL overtime to get involved. At NBL. See ya.